Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and today we are going to be looking at a variety of wrestling news around the world of wrestling. I think, going forward, I think every Sunday will just be a collection of wrestling news around the world of wrestling that I want to talk about, and things that I may have missed during the week. I can talk about SmackDown, preview Monday Night Raw. So just trying some new stuff here for the channel as I do move forward with the channel here at Ringside Cinema. And hopefully you guys move forward with me and you hit that like and subscribe button as I do produce weekly wrestling content here on the channel. So let's start with the major news. Not the New York Knicks winning the NBA championship. I will talk about that later on in this video. But let's talk about this man right here, CM Punk. There's a lot of speculation about the future of CM Punk because apparently wrestlers cannot take vacations or take breaks from WWE without the internet and the fans having this insane speculation. Like, oh my gosh, oh, he must have made somebody mad. He has heat. He must have refused a pay cut, so now they're not using him or whatever. It's stupid internet speculation here, and I'm not going to get into all that because I do want to talk about his potential return, which I do find it funny that among all this return, amidst all this speculation of his return, the WWE ran a commercial on SmackDown promoting CM Punk being at Fanatics Fest next month in New York City. So I do think that's kind of ironic that all this speculation about CM Punk's future, the WWE decides to run that commercial for CM Punk appearing at Fanatics Fest. Now, there is some speculation in terms of what he may do and when he will come back, because we do know that Monday, July 6th, there is a Raw that is happening in Chicago. And we all know that whenever, by law, whenever there's a wrestling show in Chicago, CM Punk must be there. Look, I don't write the laws. That's just the law that was written, okay? But CM Punk potentially returning at that show is probably going to be the most likely to happen here. What does he do? Obviously, at that point, we would be on the road to SummerSlam. Night of Champions is next week. We do know in the midst of the King of the Ring tournament, we're trying to determine who's going to face the champion. And apparently, the WWE has decided to change the rules of the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournament as they get to choose the champion. Like it's the Royal Rumble. Like I think that's the uniqueness of the Royal Rumble. But I'll talk about that in tomorrow's video. More about the King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring tournament in tomorrow's video. But let's do say and assume Obafemi wins the tournament like most people expect, and he faces Roman Reigns. That would free up Cody Rhodes, who I think at this point could be the champion, could not be the champion. We'll see. But Cody versus CM Punk, they've been teasing this for the last 2 years. And it seems we're finally going to get it, because if CM Punk does move to SmackDown, that makes it a lot easier for CM Punk, Cody Rhodes to have their feud. And if Cody Rhodes retains against Gunther and doesn't have an opponent for SummerSlam, CM Punk could win a number one contenders match. And boom, we get CM Punk, Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. So could it be a SummerSlam match for this year? Or could it be a WrestleMania match next year? The Raw after WrestleMania CM Punk came out and said, hey, you never know when a championship opportunity is going to fall into your lap. That's kind of interesting. The phrasing of that is interesting to me because, that would speak to like something happening to a number one contender, and now Cody needs a new opponent, and voila, it's CM Punk, and CM Punk just says, hey, this just fell into my lap. And now we're facing each other at SummerSlam. But I do think this could be more of a WrestleMania match. I think they might tease it maybe on the SmackDown after the July 6th episode of Monday Night Raw. It's quite possible that is the case, but we will see. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, SummerSlam, WrestleMania. We'll have to see what will happen, but yeah, CM Punk obviously is not going anywhere. Next week on SmackDown, there's a WWE Championship match. Cody Rhodes, Gunther. Gunther got to pick the stipulation for the match, and he chose a special guest referee. And yeah, they're rehashing the whole thing with Drew McIntyre, where Drew McIntyre got to pick a stipulation for his match against Cody, and yeah, SmackDown's kind of running out of ideas. So maybe CM Punk going to SmackDown, they can freshen things up here. But yeah, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, with Sami Zayn as a special guest referee. Obviously, we are a week away from Night of Champions. I fully expect this to set up some kind of triple threat match at Night of Champions with Cody, Gunther, Sami Zayn. Because, it's Saudi Arabia. Sami Zayn's probably going to get a world title match, just like he got a world title match in Saudi Arabia at the Royal Rumble against Drew McIntyre. And seemingly, they have done a good job kind of weaving Sami Zayn into the main event scene with Cody Rhodes, Gunther. So I do think that this would be a very entertaining triple threat match at Night of Champions. Do I think Gunther outright wins the championship? I thought maybe there was a chance that Gunther could potentially beat Cody Rhodes. But now that Sami Zayn is the special guest referee, I'm fully expecting some tomfoolery around that match, and Cody will retain, setting up a triple threat match for Night of Champions. Hence why it's possible that we do get Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk at SummerSlam, depending on how the King of the Ring plays out. If Obafemi does win, but if not, yeet. Let's stick to SmackDown and the Bloodline, because boy oh boy, I like the Bloodline storyline. I think it's great. The thing here I think a lot of fans have said was, how do we let's make the Bloodline different, right? Let's make it different from what it was before. But unfortunately, we're not seeing that right now, because similar to when Jay and Jimmy got beat by Roman Reigns, they fell in line. Well, we just saw the same thing happen to Jacob Fatu, and now it's just kind of like, okay, we're rehashing the same thing we saw before. But Jacob was sent to SmackDown to talk to Solo Sikoa to try to bring Solo back into the Bloodline. This is interesting, because Roman Reigns trying to create a new super Bloodline, my Dragon Ball fandom says, the Bloodline and the MFT is doing some kind of fusion dance to make some super Bloodline thing. But, it's kind of interesting to me, because if we go off the fact that Obafemi potentially wins King of the Ring, right? So the idea that Roman Reigns essentially is trying to bring the family back together because he's afraid of Oba Femi and he wants the family to protect him in the build up to SummerSlam and be there for SummerSlam to try to help him retain the championship in a potential match against Oba Femi. And in the weeks leading up to SummerSlam, where Oba Femi is just going through each member of the Bloodline to where Roman Reigns is the only one left before we get to SummerSlam. I mean, it sounds pretty good on paper, and it's reasonable because Roman Reigns goes, "Hey, I got this new kid, this new guy that's calls himself the ruler. I need to get the family back together to help me." Like, it makes a lot of sense, and I think again the story of Oba going through the bloodline to eventually get to Roman at SummerSlam, that's pretty good writing. I think it works 100%. But if Oba doesn't win King of the Ring, and let's say Brock Lesnar gets involved in his match against Dominic Mysterio on Raw, are we really looking at Jey Uso versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam? Is that a match fans want to see? Or is Jey going to turn on Roman again? Again, we saw this before. Jey lost to Roman, he fell in line. Jacob lost to Roman, Jacob fell in line. We've seen all of this before, and 2023, Jey Uso turned on Roman Reigns, and the Usos turned on Roman Reigns as a whole. We've seen it all. So does Jey turn on Roman after winning King of the Ring? And everything we've said about Roman's title reign, where let's see him do different things outside of the bloodline, because I think people were okay with Jacob in the beginning, saying, "Oh, okay, well, Jacob, cool, whatever." But now it seems like we're just getting bloodline stuff, opposed to Roman Reigns doing different matches with different opponents. So, are we really going to run it back? I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that we could have a super bloodline stable with Solo, the MFTs, merging with the OG bloodline. But again, that remains to be seen. We'll see what happens with that. But it does seem as if we're getting some kind of potential group super bloodline that is going to try to, maybe the WWE is just recreating what worked for them before, but I just don't think the fans want to see that again. And speaking of things that we may never see again, tonight, the UFC will be having a fight on the White House lawn, the Freedom 250. I took pictures of the set. I got pictures from the setup. I mean, honestly, it looks kind of neat. I think from a visual perspective, obviously, when you have the White House in the background, with the fights and everything happening, I think that's kind of cool. From a visual perspective, I think it's going to look amazing on TV. But then it got me thinking, is the WWE going to try this here? Because, I mean, look, I'm not going to get political here, but we do know the WWE is very, very much friendly with the president in the White House, who is also a WWE Hall of Famer. So it is very possible that maybe, I don't think a full-blown PLE, because you look at this setup here for the UFC fight, and I don't think, and obviously a WWE ring is much bigger than a UFC octagon, but it is one of those things where you do think maybe the WWE could do like a tribute to the troops special. They wanted to bring back the tribute to the troops special. You get John Cena to host it, whatever, because that's seemingly what he does nowadays. And you get the audience to be all military members, stuff like that. I think it could work in that retrospect. If the WWE TKO sees that this White House fight, or on the fight on the White House lawn, is successful, I do think the WWE could very well look at a potential of a WWE show happening on the White House lawn in the next 2 years or so that they have until their WWE Hall of Famer is no longer in office. But let's end here on a high note here, because Danhausen's uncursing of the New York Knicks is complete. I've talked about this before. The idea of Danhausen's curse going beyond the realm of kayfabe is just absolutely crazy. Like, okay, in the beginning it was like, oh, okay, he's uncursing the Knicks or whatever. Okay, cool, whatever. Like, it's wrestling. It's like, it's not really gonna work. But then the Knicks won 13 games in a row, or was it 12? No, 12 or 13 games in a row, whatever it was. And then they lost, and people freaked out, like, oh my gosh, the curse has been broken, yada yada yada. But I think the uncursing was for the whole series. I think we just kind of overblown the idea that the curse was going to lead to a 4-game sweep. But yeah, the uncursing of the Knicks has been complete by Danhausen. And again, it's absolutely crazy the how this all worked with the timing, the uncursing of the Knicks, and everything else. Just absolutely incredible. I'm happy for the man behind the Danhausen character, for him to have all this success and to be so mainstream the way that he has become because of this whole uncursing of the Knicks playoff run, being on ESPN, uncursing Stephen A. Smith or cursing Stephen A. Smith or whatever. Like, just everything about it. I mean, he was at the NBA Finals game in New York for Game 3. So I'm just happy for the man behind the character, for all the success that he's having right now. And the WWE right now has a lightning bolt of momentum with Danhausen, and the reports are that the WWE is planning something for Saturday night's main event next month, when with the New York Knicks and Danhausen. And I mean, hell, at that point, you might as well just make Danhausen the mayor of New York. I mean, the governor of New York. Give him the keys to the city. At this point, just have him beat Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and become the new undisputed champion. Break Roman Reigns' 1,316-day reign. Yeah, just give Danhausen everything. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal. I'm not an NBA fan, but I've been watching this because of Danhausen, and I've been wanting to follow this to see what would happen. So it's been fun. And I know Danhausen has said that there's like a lot of fans are now paying him like to do cameos to uncurse their teams. So, which I may have to do that because the Knicks last won the championship in 1973. I might have to get him to uncurse the Orioles so that the Orioles can win a World Series, the Ravens can win a Super Bowl,